All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back again talking about Philippines and Filipino women. And as you can see, we have our lovely set here and our two popular topic items for today, pumpkins and football. I know jack squat about football, so we'll skip the football, we'll skip the pumpkins, we'll talk about Philippine women. How about that? Because I can't cook either, so thankfully I married a white woman that can cook well. My set of cooking is, can it go in the microwave? Awesome, cool, we're eating. Without the microwave, I'm in trouble. But thankfully, my wife is an excellent cook. She makes some very wonderful food. I blame her 100% for the fact that it is almost impossible to lose weight in my house because she's always cooking something and baking. Gotta love the baking. So we've got our chat up and going, so if you have questions, make sure you get those in tonight, because as always, you know I enjoy when you guys lead the show with your questions, and I want to make sure I answer those questions for you. This is a little bit different, so we'll see how many guys paid attention last time when I told you we are back to a twice-a-month show, so clearly you guys have been telling John at loveme.com, that you want this show more than once a month, so we are back to a bi-weekly format. So every other Wednesday night we are here. So we are here tonight. We will also be here the first Wednesday of December. The second Wednesday of December there will not be a show. I will probably do a little pre-record something for you, but I will be traveling to the Philippines on that November 19th or whatever day that is, because we're going to Christmas in the Philippines. My wife's family has not got to meet our son in person yet. They see him on Skype all the time and on Facebook video and Facebook chat and all that good stuff, but they have yet to actually see him in person, so it'll be kind of exciting. I'm not looking forward to 20 some odd hours of traveling with an 18-month-old child on lap, because I'm cheap and I was not buying him another seat because it's expensive. So he gets to fly on lap, and he and my wife get to share a chair while I squeeze my very large ass into a chair of my own. I fly pretty frequently for work here domestically, so I always enjoy getting in a plane and having to squish down into the seat, because they're made for people who are this big and not people who are this big. I'm mentioning my shoulders here. Yeah, so it's always definitely a fun time when I get to fly and get stuck in a plane for, going from here to LA is an hour or so. Going from LA to Seoul is 13 hours. Seoul to Manila, I think it's like 3. And Manila to Davao is an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. So the big, the larger portion of the flight is going to be that LA to Manila, or LA to Seoul portion of the flight. And obviously if you've flown to Asia, you know that going there is longer than coming back, because when you're going over there, you're hitting all the headwinds coming across the ocean. When you're coming back, you're flying with the wind, so the plane actually gets going faster. So it's definitely, it's pretty interesting to see that, it's really almost an hour and a half to 2 hour difference flying over there versus flying back. So it's definitely pretty crazy to kind of realize how much that wind can affect, the speed of the plane. But I mean, we're flying Asiana, so we obviously, brand new Boeing 777s, all the current features and amenities. So I'll have the nice infotainment system. And let me tell you a little traveling story here. So I was flying domestically for work. Obviously I don't work here in the AFA office, but I did for many years, working on the website and doing the social media stuff. But I have moved on to some other positions with another company. Still enjoy doing this with you guys, because I like getting to talk to you and going through this stuff. And I've got a lot of experience being that I married one of these Filipinos, and I enjoy sharing that with you. And obviously I have nothing better to do on my Wednesday night, so I want to talk to you, because clearly you guys have nothing else to do tonight, because you're here hanging out with me. I appreciate it, I really do. But so yeah, I was flying on Friday I flew to Salt Lake City in the morning for work. I was there for the day, flew back in the evening. My flight from Phoenix to Salt Lake City, I booked on American, because got to travel. When you travel for the company, they're booking the cheapest flights they can. They're not trying to give me comfort, they're trying to keep the cost down. So I get to Sky Harbor, I book my flight, I get my flight, I check in, I get to the thing, and I see this little tiny plane roll up to the gate. And I'm looking at this plane going, you've got to be kidding me. It's an American Eagle flight. So American Eagle is a subcontractor for American Airlines. It's actually a separate company, but they contract directly through American Airlines and fly a lot of their flights, but it's a separate company, separate planes. And they have a lot of these older CJX planes, and it is a very small two-seat aisle, two-seat plane, super tiny. And I get in there, and so at the gate I've got my carry-on suitcase, and I was only going for the day, so I didn't bring a backpack. I just threw my laptop bag and an extra change of clothes and some stuff I needed to bring with me for our office there in just a little carry-on size suitcase. Well, as we're all getting to the gate, the lady comes on the speaker and says, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, this flight has no overhead bins, so all carry-on bags that have wheels will have to be checked here at the gate. And we're all sitting looking around like, say what? She's like, yeah, this plane doesn't have any overhead bins in it. Everything has to either go under your seat or it has to be checked down below the plane. And we're like, okay. And I'm like, well, I guess here's my roller bag. She's like, well, do you have any laptops or batteries or anything? I'm like, yeah, I've got a laptop, I've got a battery charger, I've got, a couple other things that aren't supposed to go under the plane. That's why I have them in my carry-on. She's like, well, you'll have to remove those. And I'm like, and what do I do with them now? She's like, oh, here's a paper bag. So they handed out like plastic and paper bags that they went and got from like the little restaurants in the terminal before they made the announcement. So I saw someone walk up with a handful of bags for some weird reason, and they're handing them out to us to put our electronics into the bag so we can put them under our seat. And I'm sitting there going, oh, this is gonna suck. So we get on the plane, I get to my seat. I didn't have the didn't get lucky enough to get a emergency exit on this one because there was no option for seat upgrades for this flight, which I thought was a little weird when I tried to check in online. Got to my seat. I'm sitting in the aisle, thankfully. I got an aisle seat. The dude sitting next to me against the window has broader shoulders than I do. So if we could flip back to me on the video here, I have wide shoulders. I am a big dude. This guy had wider shoulders than me. So this is the right here is the side of the plane. This guy is like this the whole flight, laying into the window, and I am like this the whole flight, laying into the aisleway. So every time someone walks, I'm literally like moving forward and kind of leaning on him to let someone through the aisleway. That's how small this plane was. And now granted, flying to Salt Lake City is only like an hour and 40 minutes, so it's not terrible, but that is a very uncomfortable flight to be on. Now, juxtaposed to flying internationally when you're on a big, beautiful Boeing, 777, and you have all the amenities and the infotainment system and the wonderful free food and free alcohol and the very attentive staff that's there for you, versus this little tiny plane where they literally came by once, dropped a little bag of peanuts in everybody's, they don't give out peanuts anymore because people have allergies. They give you a little bag of pretzels. Drop a little bag of pretzels in your lap as they walk by. Don't even ask you if you need anything, just no acknowledgement whatsoever. She's just walking by, dropping some pretzels in your lap as she walks past you. Didn't even ask you if you want them or not. I'm sitting there going, okay, cool. Munching on my pretzels, figuring, oh, okay, well, if she gets to the back of the plane, she's coming back with the drinks. That never happened. There's no drink service on the flight because they don't have anywhere to store the roller cart on that plane to provide drink service because it's a short flight. They figure they don't need it. So I'm sitting over there with Dry Mouth Central over here. By the end of the flight, I'm like, my mouth is dry. I just ate a bag of salty pretzels, so it dried my mouth out. I'm sitting there going, I just want to get off this flight. And get out. That's the kind of thing. Like we get used to that kind of poor service in this country when we fly domestically. When you fly internationally, if you've never flown internationally, there is just an utter difference in what you experience on an international flight. the level of service. And I'm not talking about being in business class or first class or any of those fancy things. I'm talking regular old coach on an international flight. The chair is comfortable, the service is fantastic, food is good, not amazing, but good. It's definitely better than nothing. It's better than a sharp stick in the eye. I've actually never been on an international flight where I actually disliked the food. And usually they have 2 or 3 options that you can pick from, a couple different varieties. Now, depending on what country the airline's based out of, the food is a little bit more curtailed to their food choices for that country. So if you're not a big fan of fish and vegetable dishes, you may want to consider bringing a snack with you. But usually you get dinner and breakfast on the flight, and then in the middle they come by with hot sandwiches. Now at any time you can ask for food, and they'll just show up with a little basket full of cookies and candy and snacks, and you pick what you want. It's all free. You're paid for it with your ticket. If you want a drink, they bring you a bottle of water. You ask for a soda, they hand you the can and a cup of ice. It's not, here's a little cup with a bunch of ice and a little bit of splash of Coke. Hope that works for you for the next hour and a half. No, you actually get your drink, and it's a fantastic way to experience flying. And it's why when I fly domestically, I'm always in such a grumpy mood when I get there, because it's such bad service, and there really is no excuse for that level of bad service. It's just they're cutting corners everywhere they can to make it cheaper and make it more profitable for the airlines. The Asian airlines, they're making great money and they're giving you good service. So maybe American, maybe you should take some tips. So just my 2 cents. Okay, rant over. Let's get back to the show. Let's see here. Ben had a question. Where is the best place to meet Filipinas out of Manila, Davao, and Cebu? You mean outside of those 3 cities? They're everywhere. They're all over the Philippines, so you can meet Filipino women anywhere you go in the Philippines. But we specifically go to Davao and Cebu. Manila, it's not that nice of a city, to be honest with you. There's not a lot of interesting things to do there outside of like the embassies and some high-end hotels for business travelers. There's not a whole lot of sightseeing to do in Manila. It's one of the reasons we really have never really opened an operation up there. We've stayed down in Davao and Cebu, which are very tourist-centric cities. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of beautiful beaches, beautiful islands. There's a lot of just touristy stuff that you can actually enjoy doing while you're there. Also, the weather is a lot better in Davao and Cebu. Manila is a very dreary place. I don't think any of the times I've actually been in Manila, I don't think I've ever actually seen the sun. It's always been cloudy or overcast or rainy. But being in Davao and Cebu, there's rain, but 30 minutes later the sun's back out and it's beautiful. So I would say particularly stick with those 2 cities. That's obviously where we are, and we think clearly some of the most beautiful women in the Philippines are in those cities. But it's definitely worth it. Let's see, Henry. Are these immigration lawyers in Cebu City that can assist with fiancé visa matters? I'm sure there are. We specifically work with 2 groups. One group based here in the U.S., which you can find information on the AFA website, lemme.com. The other option we do is we work directly with our partner in the Philippines, the company that owns the 2 agencies in Davao and Cebu. Wow. Bleh, let's try that again. In Davao, okay, in Davao and Cebu. I'm trying to combine the 2 words here. All right. Helen and our staff, they are an independent agency. We work very closely with them. They are an excellent, very high quality, very wonderful group of people. Helen and her staff are very adept at doing fiancé visas. That's actually how Helen got into this industry. She was working with a law group, and she was doing because her English is excellent. So she was doing a lot of the interaction and liaison work for a law group who was working with immigrants coming to not just the U.S. but other countries, and that's how she kind of realized this industry was there, and then she opened a company and partnered with AFA, who she had met John and Ken before that, partnered with them in the Philippines and opened up her offices in Davao and Cebu, and that's how we evolved in the Philippines to those cities and the amazing experience that we offer now. So you have, like I said, those are your options. You can work with Helen directly, or you can go through the company we use here in the U.S. I don't know the name of them off the top of my head, but if you call and you talk to Liz, she works very closely with them, and she'll handle all the paperwork and get you all set up with those guys here. Let's see here. Yep. All right. Matthew, what are the chances of meeting a non-Christian in the Philippines? Plenty. I'm sure there's plenty of women who are not Christian. My wife's not Christian. My wife's Catholic. There is a difference. Christianity and Catholicism are two separate things. There's also Muslims and Buddhists and Taoists and Mormons. I'm trying to think. There's every religion that the world has to offer is in the Philippines. And there are girls on our website that I'm sure come from all the different backgrounds. If you look at our website and it just says Christian or Catholic, we're just lumping all the Christianity-based religions into one word in Catholic. Because it's a little easier to put a checkbox that says Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, it's easier on a checkbox when they fill out their paperwork and their form for us. So we just kind of condense it down. But there are plenty of girls there that they maybe have been brought up Catholic or Christian, but they may not be practicing, or they may not be the overly devout Christian Catholics that you're thinking of that are in the Philippines. The newer generation, they're not as, over the top religious based as, say, maybe their parents' generation. They're a little bit more westernized. They're a little bit more adept to our culture. In the Philippines, it's either Filipino TV or it's American TV. That's kind of the only two options that they have there. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but I wouldn't also make that a deciding factor as to meeting or not meeting a girl. Let's see here. Henry again. Which airlines do you recommend for traveling to the Philippines? Any of them except a Chinese carrier. I have never had a very good experience on any of the Chinese carriers. I know Air China is just fine, but there's several sub carriers from China that are just, I've never heard anything good. Cathay Pacific, I've heard hit and miss stories of guys having great experiences and bad experience. I've not been on a Cathay Pacific flight. I personally prefer Asiana or going directly via Philippine Air, but I only do the Philippine Air when I'm by myself, or if it would just been me and my wife, because then I would just suck it up and take the 15 hour flight directly from LA to Manila. Being that we're taking our son this time and he's only 18 months old, we're breaking the flight up. We're flying Asiana, so we're going to fly into Seoul first, have a couple hour layover where he can be out of the plane and play for a little bit, and then we can hop back on our flight. But honestly, any of the major, if you really want to have an experience, fly on was it Singapore Air? Rated the #1 airline in the world for several years. Absolutely amazing. You will fly down to Singapore first and then back up to the Philippines, but it's a little longer travel, but man, those planes are nice, and man, they cater to you, I'll tell you right now. Some great food on those flights. Let's see here. Ben, what's the ballpark on round trip for airfare to Philippines? Depends on where you're going. Cebu's a little bit cheaper than Davao. There's a little bit more carrier options flying into Cebu than there are to Davao. Usually going to Davao winds up being maybe about $200 more expensive round trip going to Davao than going to Cebu. I'm not sure entirely why. It's a much smaller airport in Davao. It's a single lane runway. It cannot handle a 777. In Cebu, they can land a 777 there, so there's a few more major carriers that fly into Cebu. That might be part of the reason, but I usually just pick whatever is the best price for my airfare. Obviously, if you're flying internationally, you need to book early. Booking last minute, usually, unless you get super lucky, which I've never been, you're not going to catch any amazing deals. So you really need to book probably a couple months in advance. I usually try to book 6 months in advance when I'm flying to Asia, mostly because it gives me the ability to spend a week or two looking at airfares and then jumping on the one that I think is going to be the best deal that I've come across. But obviously you need to do your homework. Orbitz, Priceline, Trivago, I don't know, is Trivago a airline one, or is that just hotels? Okay, Trivago. Kayak, Cheapo Air, all of these things. I use several of them, and I try to compare them daily. Obviously, I think booking on Wednesdays in the morning is like a thing where you can find cheaper prices. I try to do that. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But again, just kind of do your research and, compare your rates, and don't use the rate compare, because they're always going to try to make their rate look cheaper than the other ones. Go to the other websites and run your travel through it. Let's see here. Ed. Oop. There we go. What do you recommend for the Philippines? Philippine women. Yes, what I recommend for the Philippines. Philippine women, that's what I recommend. Go to the Philippines, be a nice Filipina. I'm sure there was more to what you were trying to get at. You might want to throw that in. Oh, wait, hold on. I missed the first part of your comment. It scrolled past. That was a good answer, though. Come on, guys. Work with me here. Ed, when we visit the other countries to attend the AFA socials, should we dress down in some countries? Should we leave the expensive watch at home? Is it okay to wear around town or at a social? What do you recommend for the pillow? Okay. But that was a fail sauce one. We gotta get one of those sound machine things in here, so you can add some sound effects when I fail like that. But you can dress however you want, my friend. I've seen guys go to socials where they're wearing a full-on suit and tie, guys that are just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, jeans and a polo, slacks and a polo. You just be you. They're right there. So you got dress shirt and pants. That guy was in a suit. Let's see. Let me scroll back. There. See, that guy's in a full-on suit right there. This guy's, suit but no tie. Guy in the back behind him was just wearing slacks and a dress shirt. Obviously you want to look nice. You don't want to show up in, your ratty jeans and your beach bum t-shirt. But there's no required dress code. We have guys from Texas and the Midwest. They show up in their jeans and their button-up shirt tucked in with their belt buckle and their cowboy hat, and that's their jam. You see a couple of the guys getting out. Everyone's dressed nicely. Business casual might be an appropriate option. I've gone to a few socials where I just did slacks and a polo. I went to a couple where I just did slacks and a dress shirt. You want to look nice. These girls are showing up. They're dressing with some of the nicest outfits that they have because they want to wow you. So we definitely at least want to step our game up a little. I definitely don't recommend expensive jewelry when traveling abroad. I would usually say leave the bling at home. I don't really wear watches that often. I've got a couple nice ones, but usually they just sit in a box in my drawer because I don't ever wear them. If you are one of those guys that wears a gold chain, you're fine. But I wouldn't wear anything overly flashy to draw attention to myself. It's kind of just a rule of thumb when traveling. You don't want to draw too much attention directly to yourself. So let's see here. Henry, CebuWomen.com. Which hotels do you recommend for the stay? Any of them. They're all fine. Most of the hotels that you can find on like hotels.com or Trivago or any of those, they're all plenty fine hotels. It's all really based on how much you want to pay. If you're going during one of our tours, we stay at the nicest hotel in Cebu and Davao. It's part of the tour package price. We take care of your hotel accommodations. And we're staying at the nicest hotel that they offer in each of those cities. If you're going independently, in Cebu, I know a lot of guys like to stay at the Quest. It's very close to our office. In Davao, what's the name of the hotel I stay at in Davao? fail saucing on that one. There's a hotel right by the office in Davao. It's like a block and a half away from it. You walk down to the light, make a right, and it's right there. It's a nice hotel. You know, mid-price. I think it's about $40 a night. But those are the options. Now, all right, now it's bothering me. Let's see, Davao hotels. Now I gotta find the name of this thing. The Pinnacle. That's the one I stay at in Davao. It's called the Pinnacle. Now, if you're going to Tagum, where we're going for Christmas, we're staying at the Big Eight Corporate Hotel, or the Corporate 8, or something like that. It's a business travelers hotel, but it's in Davao, in Tagum, north of Davao. It's the nicest hotel, and it's like $40 a night. So it's definitely not as high end as some of the other hotels, but for where we're going to be, it's the nice one, and it has a pool, so that made us happy. Let me see here. Phil, are these women intent on leaving the Philippines, or they would be okay with me moving there? They would be happy as a clam for you to live there in the Philippines with them, Phil. The reason these women understand that, you know, doing this and looking to meet a foreign guy, usually 9 times out of 10, or maybe 80% of the time, results in them moving to another country, because that is simply where you live and where your job is. At some of us, like myself, uprooting and moving to the Philippines full-time is not an option right now, because my job and my earning potential is here in the U.S., not in the Philippines. For gentlemen who might be a little bit older than me, or maybe financially independent, or maybe currently retired already, moving and living in the Philippines is fantastic. I mean, you live like a king in the Philippines on like $1,000 a month. So, I mean, I'm telling you, the cost of living there is very inexpensive compared to what we're used to. There's a lot of guys that live there for, live very comfortably on about $1,000 a month. We've done the math, my wife and I, for where we want to live when we move to the Philippines later. And this is something I'm probably going to do well before we move there, is purchase the land and build the home we're going to live in. But for about $45,000 to $50,000, we're looking at probably an acre of land and a McMansion is what I'm going to try to build. So I mean, I'm looking at a nice acre of land in north of Davao in the Tagum area. Maybe a little bit outside of the main heart of the city of Tagum, but that's where most of her family is, so that's where, obviously we're going to want to live. My brother-in-law and his, family are there now. So, it's where we're going to probably go. So I'm going to probably look into getting the lands in the next year or two. And then, over the next 10 years or so, save up and build the home that I want to build there. And I obviously want to have something, 3 or 4 bedrooms, maybe a pool, maybe build a few rental units on the property, have a little additional source of income based off of that. This way, I can house some of her family in those too. This way they're not living in my house. Thank you. I do not want relatives living in my house. I don't do it here. I don't want to do it there. But that's kind of what I've been looking into doing for my retirement later on. But again, if you're at that stage and moving to the Philippines and getting married to a girl and living there is something that's available to you as an option, I'm sure there's no problems. They'd be happy to have you. Let's see here. Phil, also, what employment, there you go, employment hours for Americans could I get there because of my English possibility? I don't particularly think it's going to be any specific job that would be based on the fact that you're an English speaker. They all speak English there. All business is done in English predominantly. All the road signs are in English. All the books, all the kids' education is in English. So unless you have a very, very specific skill set that translate you into opening a business there, or some kind of law degree or medical degree, I'm not sure what options really are going to be available to you. I know a lot of Americans, they go there and they open small businesses, small restaurants, things like that, and that's what they do. But again, unless you have some very specific high demand degree, there's not going to be a lot of options for you, because there's plenty of people who do all the jobs we do here for a lot cheaper there. So you're not going to be paid higher simply for the fact that we're an American English speaker. Not that I know of. If you find something out, tell me, because I'll go with you. Let's see here. Matthew. Sorry, I scrolled too fast. It's a shame because bringing her on a tourist visa would see how she acts in new environment instead of just going all in. Yeah, I'm sure it would, but that's not how it works, my friend. But again, you're meeting these girls in the Philippines. You're spending time with them in the Philippines. So you're getting used to them. And again, the fiancé visa is not a marriage visa. The fiancé visa, the point of it is designed that you have 90 days to make sure you want to get married. I have met guys who have, at the end of the 90 days, have given the girl a plane ticket and sent her home because once she was here, they realized she wasn't right for them, or vice versa. She was unhappy and didn't want to stay. It has happened in the past. It is not like a guaranteed, she comes here, everything's going to be peaches and cream. It's still a relationship. You're still two individuals that have to coexist. So like I said, and please don't watch 90 Day Fiancé because they find the train wrecks of the guys doing this to put on those shows. But like I said, the 90 Day Fiancé visa is for you to bring someone here to see and make sure that living together here in the U.S. is going to work out for you. So yeah, and you did a bit of a gamble, yes, but that's the life we take when we go and do this here. So, all right, let's put some pretty girls on the thing so I can take a sip of my water. Dang, on cue with the pretty girls. Nice. All right, Jack. It would seem that Davao would be better to visit than Cebu because it appears to have a larger roster of women. True. No. I think it's pretty equal across the board. There's a bazillion beautiful women in each city. When you're looking at these socials, we're actually switching between Cebu and Davao socials here, so it's not just one or the other. They're both in these videos. Like that specifically right there, that is Davao. I know, I recognize the room that they use. That's the Davao social. The one we were just at a minute ago that was a little bit brighter with they were just showing a minute ago, that a little bit brighter with better lighting, that was Cebu. But we usually keep a very strict 10-to-1 ratio at the social events in the Philippines. So for every gentleman there will be 10 women. So if there's 15 guys, there will be 150 women. If there's 20 guys, we'll have 200 women. So we keep a pretty solid 10-to-1 ratio to make sure that there's ample women for you to meet and get to know and interact with. Because I'll tell you right now, even if there's only 8 or 9 guys on a tour in the Philippines, 80 or 90 women, you're not going to have enough time in the 5 or 6 hour social event to speak to every one of them. It's not, outside of saying hello, it's just not possible. You get hooked on one, or one of them really digs you and they kidnap you and chat you up for 30 minutes or so, and they don't want you to leave because they're into you and they don't want you to talk to anyone else. So there's the ratio is good and it works well, so I wouldn't worry too much. Harris, how difficult is it to get a fiancé visa? It's pretty easy, let me tell you. There's a couple bare minimum requirements. I think you got to make 120% of poverty, which I think is like $22,000 a year. Can't have any felonies or anything like that. But if you're just kind of a normal, everyday, Joe Blow that makes, above $22,000 a year and doesn't have a criminal record, you're pretty much good to go. It's not a very hard process. It's just a bunch of paperwork and it's a little time consuming, that's all. So it's not difficult at all. I mean, the biggest thing that you need to know, the biggest thing, I'm going to clap my hands right by the microphone so y'all wake up. The biggest thing you need to know is make sure the girl that you're interested has never been married. There is 0 divorce in the Philippines. If she has been married and that marriage was registered with the Philippine government, she will never be able to qualify for a fiancé visa. One of the required documents for a fiancé visa from the girl's aspect is what's called a Sinamar. It is a document that they have to get from the Philippine government certifying that they have never been married. Because there is 0 marriage, divorce in the Philippines. It does not exist legally in the Philippines in any way, shape, or form. Annulments are possible. They're very expensive and they're not a guarantee. So I'm just telling you right now, when you do this, that is one of the questions you need to make sure you ask her point blank. Have you ever been married? Because if she has been, she will not qualify for a fiance visa. That is the only caveat in the Philippines for the fiance visa process. Any other country in the world, they have divorces in those countries. If she's been divorced, it's just like when you do this, you'll have to provide a copy of your divorce decree from the state you were divorced in. You just get your copy, a certified copy from the state, and you submit it with your paperwork. Any other country in the world, if the girl had been divorced, they do the same thing that we do here. But in the Philippines, they do not have the concept of divorce legally in their government, so it is not something that these women are able to do. So if she had been married, she does not qualify for a fiance visa. It is one of the only annoying things about the Philippine government is this one point. Oh, that and everything costs you money with the Philippine government. Nothing they do there is, just done for you. Got to pay for everything with the government there. Let's see here. Ken, people pay to meet women in the Philippines. Just be nice and respectful and they will come to you. No, Ken? No, they won't. Because if you don't use a service like this, how are you going to meet them? That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, if you go travel to the Philippines on your own and you just walk around the mall and try to hit on girls, yeah, I guess that would work. But how else are you going to meet a woman that's on the other side of the world unless you're using a paid service? And I hate to break it to you, using any of this websites out there that are chat-based websites, you don't know if the other person on the other end of that line is actually the girl or not. Here at AFA and LoveMe.com, we don't actually want you to write any letters. We just want you to go on a tour and meet girls in person. Like these pretty girls right here on the screen that you're looking at while I'm talking right now. Especially this one with the crazy awesome red hair and the lime green dress. She always winds up showing up, being on the screen when I make this kind of point. It's hilarious every time. But I mean, you got to pay for a service to meet the girl somehow. So whether it be via a paid chat service on someone else's website and you don't know if the person you're chatting is the person that's in the picture, or if you just pay for a tour and go over there and meet some girls using our service, one way or another, you gotta have, there's an intermediary that's going to be involved for you to make that connection. So, I mean, hopefully that works for you there, bud. Harvey, when a person signs up to come to an event in either Davao or Cebu, do they select a particular woman to meet at the event, or they attend without selecting any particular women to meet? Yeah. We don't. What we do when you sign up, we send you a sheet and we ask you to provide us the profile numbers of about 20 women that you would like to meet. What that does is it helps us to invite the women, or at least try to get a bulk of the women that you want to meet to one of the two socials. We don't want to just invite a bunch of girls randomly to the social. We will if you don't tell us, but if we ask you, because obviously you're on the website, you see the girls, you see their profile, there's going to be girls that you really like and that you'd like to meet. So we just ask you, hey, here's the list, 1 through 20. Just put the profile number of the girls you're interested in meeting. This way we can try to get many of those girls to the two socials as we can. If we can't get them to the social, then we try to make sure we try to set up a date for you during the week or 2 weeks that you're there so you can meet that girl. So that's really kind of how we figure out which girls are coming. And obviously if you don't provide us with a very big list, or if there's only a couple girls that you really want to meet, then we're going to look at those girls and we're going to invite girls that we think are similar, or at least look wise similar to her, to round out your list. Let's see, Harris, which part of Cebu has the most single girls? Well, there's single women everywhere, man. There's no part of Cebu that has more single women than another. We don't specifically get women from one part of Cebu. Our office in Cebu goes and tries to recruit girls from everywhere in the city. We recruit by we have office staff, and they go out to events and they go out to things where people are, and they talk to girls that they see, and they, you know, explain what our service is, and they ask them if they'd be interested in coming to one of our social events and potentially meeting a foreign gentleman who's looking for marriage and love and all that stuff. And if they're interested, they sign up. A lot of the women simply come because one of their aunts used our service, or one of their girlfriends used our service and got married, and then they see what the, you know, how that girl and how happy she is, and, you know, her children and her husband, and they're like, well, I want to do that too, and I want to meet a nice guy like that, and then they come, you know, sign up. So I mean, I would probably say, I think it's about 60-40. I think 60% of the women that sign up because they have a friend or relative, you know, who used our service and was successful, who is using our service and might be engaged or, you know, dating a gentleman from another country, and they see that and they want to do that too, and they want to, you know, be happy like them, and they sign up. And then I think the other maybe 40-30% or what so are us actually going out and actively finding women who would be interested in this and getting them to come and sign up. But again, it's a very large bulk of women actually come directly to us and have heard about what we do from their friends or family members, and you know, that's how we get them signed up. My wife specifically, her aunt is the one that forced her to come sign up with AFA, because my wife wasn't dating anyone and didn't have any, wasn't very happy. So my aunt actually dragged her down to the office in Davao and signed her up while she was visiting her relatives. So my aunt, my wife's aunt, used our service and got married several years back. That I actually come to find out she met a guy through the service. And she made my wife go down there and sign up, and that's actually how I met my wife. If, you know, if her aunt hadn't made her sign up on AFA, for AFA, I never would have met her. So I'm very happy that she has a very good aunt like that. Let's see here. All right, Ron, if I pay for a club tour, can I send a description of the personality of the ladies I'd like to meet? My schedule doesn't align with group tour dates. Was hoping that would be an option. Well, yes, same concept with the tour. If you sign up for a club, we're obviously going to ask you the profile numbers of the ladies you want to meet. This way we can try to facilitate those connections while you're there. If we don't able to facilitate all of the connections, the ones you want to meet, our staff automatically will look at the girls that you're interested in meeting, and then try to provide some other ladies that they think would meet your interest level equally to the girls that you've asked to try to meet. So yeah, to an extent, it's not personality based, it's based off they know the girls, and these are the girls you're asking to meet, so we think these other girls might be, you know, pique your interest just as well. So hopefully that answers that for you. Brian, I'm planning a trip to the Philippines next year. How much money can I put on the trip until it's paid for? Because I plan to put more than just $100 to secure my trip. So the open deposit is $475. That's the minimum deposit you can make to get into the system for a tour or club or whatever. Once you made that deposit, you can pay any amount you want. We have guys that make the open deposit and then pay $100 a week for a couple of months, or you know, a couple $100 every other week until they pay it in full. You just have to have your tour or club paid in full 30 days before the date you're going to be there. So if you're going to a tour and it starts on, you know, I'm picking a random date here, October 5th, which is usually a Davao social, you just have to have your payment in full by September 5th. So that's really the only requirement for that. Let's see here. EC. What percent at the social can come over on a 90-day visa, speak and understand English, and are willing to, and will be able to work, volunteer, or sign up for classes to get a job? Probably 100%, because we don't allow women on our service who would not be eligible for a fiancé visa. So women who have been married and are not, you know, have been married, we don't allow them on the service, because there's no way they'll ever be able to come for a fiancé visa to move here with you or to any other country because of the Philippine laws. So obviously it's going to be 100%. all of the women in the Philippines speak English. It's all their education system is in English. All the signs are in English. Business is done in English in the Philippines. Everyone there speaks it. When you go somewhere, people are shy because they don't want to speak incorrect English or sound stupid to you because they say something wrong. But they all speak English and they all understand what you're saying. So I wouldn't have any real worries about that aspect. Like I said, there's rules on how when they come here. You know, obviously for the first year, them working is realistically not possible unless you get them get their work visa at the same time you do their adjustment of status. So when they bring a girl here on a fiancé visa, you have 90 days to get married. By the end of that 90 days, you need to have filed your adjustment of status along with, so the adjustment of status, it's when you show that you've gotten married, you file the adjustment of status, and that adjustment of status paperwork filing is what allows her to stay here legally in the U.S. because her visa and her passport is only good for 90 days. So she then will need to carry a copy of her acceptance letter for her adjustment of status. The adjustment of status can take anywhere from 3 months to a year and a half, depending on where you live. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, it took us 14 and a half months to get my wife's green card for the adjustment of status because they're so backlogged here in Phoenix with the immigration issues that we have in the Southwest. But if you, like my wife, when she came here, I wasn't particularly worried about her working right away, so I didn't pay the extra to get her a work visa along with the adjustment of status. I just waited till she got her green card. Then, you know, she has a green card and a social security card, so now she can work and do whatever she wants. Tip number 1: the minute the girl shows up here in the U.S., go get her a social security number. All she needs is the visa in her, the U.S. visa, the 90-day visa in her passport book, because they laminate it into the passport book. Take her day 1 to a, what is it called, Social Security office, and get her a Social Security card and number day 1. Because if you don't, and you don't get it before 2 weeks before that 90-day visa expires, pointing at this guy right here, found that out the day after we were in the 2-week closing period, could not get her social security number until we got her green card 14 months later. That was a hassle and a half and extremely annoying when we tried to do things because I did not know, and I totally blanked if someone told me about it, to go get her social security number the day she showed up here in the U.S. Just go and get it. They're eligible for it immediately. It's not anything special. She's here in the country legally. She's eligible to get it. Just get it. Tip. Let's see, Kirk, not the producer man. Had a free Sunday afternoon, so decided to go to a craft fair. 90% were women. After watching and listening to all the women, I can honestly say I have got to get on a plane. Dude, they were crafty women. Of course, you need to. That's not a good look for you, man. Don't do that. All right, don't go to craft fairs, dude. It's not a good look for you, bro. But no, I mean, yeah, I could imagine. But it's also a lot of older women, I would imagine, are at craft fairs. I can't imagine it's a young crowd at the craft fair. So, good tip though, guys. Don't go to craft fairs. Maybe actually go to craft fairs and then go get on a plane. Let's see here. Bob, if the girl does get an annulment, will she qualify for a fiancé visa, or you're saying that she may still not be able to get a fiancé visa even with the annulment? To my knowledge, if she has a legal annulment in the Philippines, which again is very hard to do, and from my understanding, don't quote me, you paying off a judge to get that one to happen. There's usually a fee involved to make that annulment happen. Basically, it's a payoff, I think. I've never had anyone try to do it, but I've heard some stories from, I've read stories on the internet about guys who've tried to do it. I just don't think it's worth it. But yeah, if she's got the annulment and she's got the legal paperwork from the federal government, you know, with the stamp and everything, and it's legal, I would get it, ask her for a copy of it, and provide it to your immigration lawyer, and have them verify that it is legal and that she is going to qualify and be eligible. Before you go any further, I would pay whatever fee the immigration lawyer is going to charge you to get that verification done, because once you start the process and make all the payments, it's non-refundable. So I would get that verification very squared away right away, making sure that you know it is going to work for you. Again, I don't know anyone that's actually tried it with a girl with an annulment. I just know that it's supposedly possible, but I'm not sure. Let's see here. Henry, are the women who attend your event single? Yes, it is a requirement to sign up on the website that they are single. If we find out that they are dating someone, or if they have a significant other, we actually will remove them ourselves from the website, because we want women who are on the website who are actively looking to meet you, not just have this as something they're doing for funsies. Let's see, yeah. Or is it possible to meet a woman who can okay. Are the women students? Yes. Okay. Or is it possible to meet a woman who can relocate to? No. Unless she is super rich, and comes from a very wealthy family, her coming to the States is not happening on any other option than a fiancé visa. The only reason Helen, the woman who owns the agency that we work with in the Philippines, is able to travel to the U.S. the way that she does, is she comes from one of probably the wealthiest families in the Philippines. I mean, her brothers are attachés to the Philippine embassy, in Philippine embassies around the world. So she comes from a very wealthy family. She has a lot of financial backing. She's eligible for tourist visas to this country. Most of these women do not have that very small amount of money. Their families don't have much money. They're not very financially solvent in the Philippines for the vast majority of the people. So getting a visa to come here tourist wise is really just probably not going to happen. So I really wouldn't even put any stock in that being an option for you. You have to go there. You need to go there, meet them. You need to do it that way. There's a reason that it kind of goes, wow, that is very distracting video right there. Okay. I looked up at the video screen to see the two girls in the cowboy hats, so that killed my train of thought right there. I did not know that you could get a SS number with a fiancé visa. That's an interesting piece of advice. Yes, I didn't either, Henry. Now you know, because I found out the hard way. So we are kind of closing out the show here. We've got a few minutes left. Let me do the obligatory salesy part of the show here. Let me get the AFA website up. Lemme.com. All right, so obligatory salesy portion of the show. Upcoming singles tours: Kiev, Kharkov, Ukraine, Shenzhen, China, sold out. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen a China tour sell out. That's crazy. Also, just so you know, guys, Shenzhen, China, you fly into Hong Kong and you go across the border into Shenzhen. There's a train that goes from the airport in Hong Kong, takes you right into Shenzhen. You don't even have to leave the airport to get on the train. It's that simple to get there. Obviously, Cebu, Philippines, January 24th. Davao, Philippines, March 7th. Let's see. Oh, seminars. Always gotta go over seminar stuff here. Let's see here. Let's get the full seminar list pulled up. Let's see. All right, so we got 3 dates left for this year. December 8th, Albuquerque, New Mexico. December 15th, Houston, Texas. And December 16th, Dallas, Texas. You can just call the phone number listed there, get yourself signed up. I think there's an email option to sign up. Hey, reservation, 602-553-8178, extension 204. Talk to Bud. If Bud's not here, just talk to whoever you talk to. They'll sign you up. So, yeah, but obviously, guys, make sure you check out the website. There's a lot of really good stuff. right dead center below the upcoming tours and the quick search, there's obviously my thing, the live webcast, the video blogs, or vlogs as we call them here. I think some of my stuff is actually in here occasionally. I don't know. Are any of my stuff on this page? Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, my stuff's in there too. Oh, good question, and our producer might be able to answer for this. Is there a backlog of these shows, and if so, where is it? Because I have a lot of guys that I have had ask me where this stuff is.
We're still working on those pages.
Okay.
They need to be made into responsive pages, basically, is what's holding it back.
Okay. So they're coming. I would assume that on the YouTube channel, they are backlogged on there, correct? Yep. So, let me see. I've got the YouTube page open. What's the YouTube channel for this?
Quite a few of them are backlogged on a separate one too. It's
okay.
Kind of mixed up.
Well, I know the last few are available on CebuWomen.com on the YouTube channel for Cebu Women.
Cebu Women,
just search for Cebu Women and you'll probably find some of my vlogs that I've been doing and some of the backlogs of the videos that we have for this show. But they are coming. I know that's something a lot of guys have asked for, but they'll be available at some point, hopefully soon. It's one of the things that I just gotta, I gotta get on John and Ken to get done. Remember, if you want this show more than twice a month, email John at loveme.com. Tell him, John, we need more than twice a month. We need 4 times a month. Let's see here, a couple questions before we wrap it up. Edward, I attended a Ukraine social. Can I invite ladies from other Ukraine cities to attend to meet me? What is the chance of her showing up? Bud's opinion was we would have to pay for her bus fare. Yeah. You can invite girls from other cities to socials that we do elsewhere. You just have to foot the bill for her travel expenses. We're obviously going to make sure the girls that live in the city where we're having the event are going to be there. But if there's a specific girl from another city that we're not going to on one of the Ukraine tours, and you really want her to come to a social so you can meet her, all you have to do is tell us about it. We'll get it all set up and we'll let you know what the cost is going to be. And then you would pay us directly and then we would arrange for her transport for her. We're not going to gouge you. It's whatever it's going to cost us to get her from A to B, from A to U, is what you're going to pay. We're not going to add any fees onto that. It's just going to whatever the bus fare or train fare or whatever that costs us to book for her, that's the cost that you're going to incur. So yeah, we can definitely take care of that for you. That's something you're going to want to talk to Anna about. She'll be able to be very knowledgeable about how to take care of that for you. Brian, if I choose a club, what activities could we do, or is it private one-on-one? So a club is not a social or a tour, so none of the stuff you're seeing here is available via the club. The club is simply 7 days, 21 introductions, 3 introductions per day. All the introductions are done in our office in either Cebu or Davao. You would come to the office. We would have, obviously, we would make sure that we set up a phone rental for you, get you set up on a phone there. And we would set up the times that you want to meet the girls. You'd come to the office. They would be there. We would introduce you to them. You sit in the office, chat for a few minutes. And then if you want to go out for lunch or dinner or go out and do something, you do that. If you're interested in doing one of these things that you see here, we obviously can help facilitate that for you. But obviously any of the fees and the costs you would have to cover. So all the transportation, they can help you get that set up. But again, cab rides are so cheap in the Philippines, dude. So cheap. So yeah, no, you can definitely do some of the things that you see in our tours, but it would just be you and the young lady if she's wanting to go do that with you. So that would all I can say on that one. All right, guys, it is that time. We are going to wrap it up. I very much appreciate all your questions. I love when you guys lead the conversation with what you want to know versus what I just decide to ramble on about. I really love that there's a giant wall over there. We need like a video wall right there. Or at least a picture of some girls or something. Something to distract from them having to look at this for an hour. Yeah, so I need to get home and help my wife and my mother prepare for Thanksgiving tomorrow. Also, happy Turkey Day, everybody. I'm sure there's a lot of good football games on this weekend. There's a lot of good things. I know personally there's going to be a lot of time out on the patio with cigars and some of my relatives and some buddies. And we've got turkey tomorrow, and on Saturday we're doing a big ham and having some friends over. Obviously tomorrow's family day. Friday's work day for me still. And then Saturday we're going to have another little mini Thanksgiving with ham and all the leftovers and some friends and stuff coming over. So it's going to be a good weekend. Hopefully you all have a great, relaxing, enjoyable weekend. If you're working most of it like I am, I'm sorry, but find time for yourself there too. And please, guys, go do this. Go do something. Make something happen for yourself. The year's almost over. Don't let another year of 2019 pass and wind up at this point in 2019 and you haven't done anything yet. Go do something. We're not getting any younger, guys. Go make it happen for yourself. All right, signing off. I will be back in 2 weeks on, I don't know what day. Hold on December 5th. 2 weeks from now, December 5th, we will be back with another live show. So until then, guys, have a wonderful time. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see y'all soon.